All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week for the week of September 7th through 11th. This is going to be your only screencast this week as there's a lot of information that I've placed on videos on our information page as well. Our key details are also our files as well for the week. So this is just the first video here for that page. Watch the others and I'll get you caught up with the material that we're learning as well. Again, keep up with your packets. Key issues 1 and 2 should already be done. Key issues 3 and 4 should be done by next week. But what I'm going to look at here for you today, and again, if you want to use this to help answer questions, by all means, you're able to do that. I just want to give you that, just an explanation of some of this information that is going to be covered here and why it's important to what we're going to study throughout this year. All right. So the question they like to ask is, why are different places similar? Well, you look at obviously we looked at regions last section in key issue. Well, actually we did regions. We'll do regions this week, but looked at maps. We looked at what it takes for us to describe what a place is. So I just want to give you this insight now for key issue 3 to help us, get information. You can see, I can explain some details about it to help you make sense. And you also can see images, diagrams that would help you see, especially like parts of diffusion that will really help us, understand what you're defining. If you're defining different parts of diffusion, what are you looking at and helping you see that? Okay, so let's move forward here. If I can get this going ahead. There it is. So the first thing they talk about in key issue 3 is dealing with what's called the core periphery model. Now this is a model that I'm not saying you'll see it on a test and you'll have to name what is core and what is periphery, but this can be applied to all scales, not just the global scale, which is what you see in the next slide, which is a map. But you don't have to see it at the global scale. You can see it at regional scales, or even for our purposes, state, county, even just local area, which is the core based on what you're seeing, which is the periphery. So the core region, no matter where you're at, will have all the technology, the capital, and the wealth. Capital not meaning like capital cities, like capital as in terms of money. All right, these regions have all of that combined. All right, the periphery, usually in many situations, they have the people and the population growth. If you look at your infographics, I had you do either on Canvas, or if you got ones by hand you wrote down, it's fine. If you printed it out, if you take a look at your developed country, they probably have higher GDP per capita, and the developing country 2, will probably have the higher population, unless you're looking at a smaller, very small developing country. But if you look at the space and the people that are there, the density is going to be in the developing country, not the developed country. All right, but they have the people and where the population is growing. That's what you're going to see in the periphery. And then when you look at the semi-periphery, you can have a mix of both. Population, growth, people in general, and then that the wealth is also increasing. All right, so there, no matter what's happening in the semi-periphery, they both are increasing. That, I think they're just getting ready to switch from the periphery to the core. So you're going to have that just understanding of the people who haven't yet figured out having less kids is better to save money, better to keep money. So they're kind of growing in population, but also the wealth is increasing as well. All right. Again, here's the countries in the model. Many of your countries for your country 1s are going to be in the core, and then the others for country 1 are going to be in the semi-periphery, so in the yellow on this map. The rest of yours are going to have, and that are especially the developing countries are going to be your periphery, where all the population growth is. All right, because again, your country 1s, it could be semi-periphery and core, and country 2s could even count as semi-periphery or with the periphery. So you're gonna have a little bit of both. So if you have 2 semi-peripheries, let me know. And if you want to change something, I can make that happen. But that's not that big of a deal for what you're learning this year. Just seeing the differences between cultures and peoples and how they grow, how they live. That's kind of the whole key with the country analysis this year. All right. The next discussion with this comes with diffusion. All right. Diffusion by definition is the connection of people and objects that cross some form of space. So what connection do people have? I noticed a lot of people in your country infographics, you made a comment about the sports, especially where soccer or football is the popular sport out of that country. It's a popular sport in many countries. That is because of diffusion. So they are connected by soccer through that part of space or location is what we're talking about. So what kinds of diffusion exist and what are some examples of that diffusion, all right? But as a result of diffusion, you're going to have three different things happening. The first is assimilation, where diffusion occurs and one of the group's cultural features adjusts to another cultural group, or one group changes. Usually might see this with like, early 20th century immigration. People came from one area of the world to the United States. They didn't care about what cultures they came from. They still cherished it, but they wanted to assimilate to the culture here in the United States, like learn the language, understand the currency, get a job. They wanted to assimilate. They didn't want to do things the way they did all the time. That's what they saw was what's wrong with their lives, so they came to the United States to change that. There's all kinds of movies where people are expected to assimilate to a certain area or to a certain culture, and this is one of the three results. Another one is acculturation, where changes that result in the meeting of two groups, where both groups experience change. You could see this as a result of like the pilgrims arriving to the New World and interacting with the natives. Both groups experience change. One group doesn't change to affect the other, but both groups experience change while keeping the cores of their own cultures. And finally, the last one is syncretism, combining elements from multiple groups to create a brand new culture. There aren't too many examples of this happening, throughout the world, but you're going to see, if elements combine from two different groups of people, you have this, creation of a brand new culture. This is another possibility. The first two are more than likely going to be the main reasons as to what happens, but syncretism is something that does happen as well. All right. Now, getting into different kinds of diffusion. All right. You can see the graphics here. This will really help you. I'll put both these up here. So if you want to pause, you can. All right. We look at relocation diffusion, all right, as the key idea of how things spread. This is through the physical movement of people. So you see on the top here, all right, this first image, these top two, you're going to see where the people originate and where they move, and they're taking their ideas there. All right. This could be the spreading of language due to exploration or immigration. The fact that English is spoken in the United States and other parts of the world, like New Zealand, South Africa, Australia. They're speaking English because of the diffusion of British peoples from Great Britain to those areas of the world that they ended up going. You can say the same thing with Portuguese to Brazil, or Spanish to Latin and parts of South America. You're going to say the same thing with language, but they're moving. You're not going to see people, take on that language based on where they're moving. You're going to see it start from one place, people are going to leave an area, and you're not going to see it happen again until they finally settle in a new area. That is a big key aspect of relocation diffusion. This is not contagious diffusion, which is the next one, which is the rapid spread of a characteristic throughout a population. The best, obviously besides Gangnam Style and rap in Europe and then other things that we can look at, throughout this. There's a video there. I'll post this PowerPoint so you can see it as well. So that way you can at least watch the video if you want to. But, rap music, all right, hip hop music originates in the United States, but it diffuses contagiously across the world because people will hear it, they'll pass it on, you'll share it. TikTok, you'll see it, you'll share it. All these things are contagious diffusion, just like a disease. All right, I'm not saying music or rap is a disease. I'm just, making the metaphor that, many diseases that spread because people interact with one another and they stay in the same place that they were. So the disease spreads, not the people, or the music spreads and not the people. All right, that's the kind of diffusion that it just catches on, it catches fire and just like sweeps across like wildfire. All right. So these are two different kinds. Again, you can pause this if you want to kind of take your own notes of this. And again, I'll put the PowerPoint there. So if you want to print it out, you don't need to copy it. It's up to you. But the video link is there, and you can open that once you open it. Okay, it's kind of funny. All right, other forms of diffusion. I'm going to put all these up here so you can see this. Hierarchical diffusion is the spread of an idea from persons or nodes of authority or power to other persons. We look at nodes of authority, central location areas. So the example that's used here is like a business chain of command, or the spread of Honda's worldwide operations, or Amazon, deciding what it's going to do. It has a central location of which it makes its decisions, and the other areas operate according to that node or that authority of power. All right, so that's every business model almost takes that on through this procedure. The next one's going to be stimulus diffusion, which is the spread of an underlying principle, even though the characteristic fails to diffuse. You can see in the image down there at the bottom. I know it's kind of tough with the my face in the way, but a great example of that is the spread of McDonald's to India, or McDonald's anywhere in the world. And McDonald's is in multiple countries, not just in the United States. And McDonald's will change based on the location it's at to cater to the people that live there. The best example is McDonald's to India, but Hindus don't eat beef because they see it as a taboo and they find all cows sacred. So they're not going to eat beef. So McDonald's created at its international headquarters, a vegetarian option for that. Now, I'm not saying that's where the Impossible Burgers have come from. I know Burger King did the Impossible Whopper, and I know other fast food chains are doing it as well. But it's not the result of what they're referring to. They're looking at vegetarian options before these other burgers came into existence. All right, but the McDonald's was accepted as an entity that can exist, but it cannot exist in its original form. You know, if you go to different McDonald's around the world, I'm sure you can find a website of people that are that have done analysis on McDonald's around the world and how they're going to operate and how they have food choices that people will bring forward. So that's something that is of key focus here for individuals to give some sort of spread of information, spread of ideas, and how quickly that information, that idea does spread. All deals with different kinds of diffusion. All right. Again, a great example of this can be the distribution of HIV and AIDS. Starts in the southern parts of Africa. You can see it up top in Russia there. This is, not a contagious type of diffusion. Could be something that could be considered a hierarchical type of diffusion. Could be based on relocation, since HIV and AIDS are spread through sexual contact only, or the spreading of sharing of needles. Anytime the blood or anything else that contacts each other, other than just a saliva sort of level, is what you're going to see with the spread of HIV and AIDS. So you're not really going to see, this contagious diffusion as you see it on normal diseases. AIDS is a different kind of disease. It could be spread through relocation, people moving to an area. It could be passed through hierarchical diffusion because it starts in an area and it spreads out from that, all right, from an authority or node of power or persons, all right. I doubt it's stimulus diffusion because you're not changing it. It's still the same disease no matter where you're going. So the best two that make the most sense are either going to be relocation or hierarchical, depending which way you're looking at it. All right. Things also to keep in mind, and this is the last part we're looking at, is distance decay. The further something is away from a particular node or from a particular hearth, all right, which is the central part of where something is founded. Like the hearth of soccer was in Great Britain. The hearth of golf is in Scotland. The further away you get away from that, the less likely those two would interact. So two cultures, two ideas, the less likely they will interact or the likelihood that they would interact, is determined upon how far away they are, all right? All right, so contact with that first diminishes and then eventually disappears, all right? So the quote there at the bottom mentions that all things are related. However, all other things being equal, those things that are closest together are more related. All right, so you're going to see people be more relative to each other based on location. All right, you're going to see people from different parts of the state, or different parts of multiple states or regions that have their own way of doing things, and you're going to see that there based on how close they are together. All right. Any questions? If there's any questions, please email me. This will be posted up. Again, I'll post the PowerPoint as well, so you can watch that video. It is kind of funny, so you can watch that and see and get the hint of how hip hop changes people's mindsets when it comes to learning things. All right. That's all I have here for today. This is from Key Issue 3. Again, it's not every piece of information, but it does help, I think, explain what you're writing down from the book. All right, everyone have a great day and have a great week. Talk to you later.